Hello, everyone in the audience today. Thank you for taking the time to join today's webinar highlighting payroll for construction, a construction-specific payroll processor. Still looks like we have some of those filing into the webinar here today, so we'll go ahead and get started here in a moment. But just wanted to pop in real quick, let everyone know we'll get things going here in a few. And thanks again for taking the time to join today's presentation. All right, looks like we had some others join us getting settled in here, so we'll go ahead and get things started. So for those of you that just joined us, thanks again for taking the time to join today's webinar highlighting payroll for construction, a construction-specific third-party payroll processing service. For those of you in the audience today, today's webinar is a listen-only presentation for those of us in the audience. There is a question box below, so as I go through, feel free to throw any questions in the chat. I'd be happy to answer those during today's presentation for you. Then also, today's presentation is going to be offering CPE credits. During the webinar, I'm going to throw up 3 different polling questions for those in the audience. To receive those credits, go ahead and answer those polling questions once they're thrown up. As we go through, then our team will be reaching out in regards to those CPE credits after the presentation here today. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So payroll for construction. Who are we? Meet Payroll for Construction. We are an online payroll service provider just for the construction industry. So those that have clients, contractors working in the construction industry know how complex those payroll runs, those payroll items can be for those working in the industry. Job costing, union, prevailing wage work, where we're going to have multiple rates, maybe multiple states, multiple jurisdictions. Also the reporting, tracking of deduction, fringe, benefit information for those team members, for those clients, can be a very, very messy process. Whether if you're doing that manually in the office, can be very time consuming, can take those in the office for contractors hours, days to complete those payroll items, making sure that they're staying up to date with the regulations, calculations, of everything that's going on with those construction payrolls. And that's where we came into play. But we're only working with the payroll, the construction payroll industry here. Payroll for construction, we're processing payroll in all 50 states, working with those that have that union, prevailing wage work, or need more job costing, working across multiple states. We were built to handle and help automate, streamline the construction payroll process. One thing out here that does make us different from other providers out there is, you may have heard of them, you may have not, but Payroll for Construction is a direct sister company that's powered by Foundation Software. Foundation Software is a full job cost construction ERP accounting software that's, again, also only working in the construction industry. Later on in the presentation here today, I'm going to be jumping into the Payroll for Construction database and those that are familiar with Foundation here in the audience, you're going to see that Payroll for Construction is built on that ERP accounting software, but with us just being the standalone payroll service here, we are going to be accessing that Foundation system, the payroll, general ledger, the job costing modules, a watered down version. Then with that payroll service, we're using that powerful construction accounting software behind the scenes to be able to handle those payroll runs. Then with our service, we can directly integrate with Foundation, but not everyone's using Foundation for accounting. They may be using QuickBooks, Sage, other accounting systems in the office there where you don't have to be on Foundation to use Payroll for Construction. We are able to integrate with whatever accounting package those contractors are utilizing, your clients are utilizing in the office there. So have ways that we can pass that payroll information back into that main accounting package. But with Payroll for Construction here, again, only working in the construction industry, online, third-party payroll service provider. All right, then moving on to the next slide here, that's construction-specific payroll items. So like I've been mentioning, like you know, construction industry can be a messy, complex payroll process for those contractors. So whether they're working across multiple states, working across multiple localities, for my contractors working in states like Ohio, Kentucky, that, hey, we have one guy who can work on 3 different job sites in a week, and those are taking place in 3 different cities. He's got 3 different taxing jurisdictions that he's working under, or hey, they're working across multiple states, multiple taxing jurisdictions they need to track, make sure they're all being calculated at those, whatever they may need for those state jurisdictions. So the system is going to automate that process for them in the office. So manual calculations, and with the system here, we can control everything on a job by job basis, where this job's taking place, what state, what locality do we have to tie to it. With Payroll for Construction, processing payroll in all 50 states here, the system's to be set up and automated to help streamline the tracking, the calculations for these clients, the contractors, for your clients. System going to do the legwork here as we can set things up, have them tied out on a job by job basis. Now, also with that construction payroll, my contractors here that have union prevailing wage work, where we got to pay these guys a certain rate based on a list of rates being required for that job, for that union. The system can be set up to automate those pay rates for the prevailing wage, for those union calculations, where once we're coding in guys' hours to a specific job site, working under a specific class or a specific trade, the system's going to be able to look at that job, look at the trade for that specific employee, automatically pull in the corresponding prevailing wage rate, union rate for that employee. No more going through tying in those rates manually, making sure they're all tied out for the employees. Going to be able to look at a job by job basis. Is this a private commercial job, union, prevailing wage job, and then pull in and assign the corresponding rate of pay for those employees. Then also the next bullet here, fringe calculations. So with that union prevailing wage work, we're going to have those fringe calculations that we need to track for those employees. Going to also have separate tables behind the scenes that can be set up for my union contractors, the list of deductions, fringes, those unit benefits that we need to track for our employees working on those job sites, as well as those prevailing wage contractors have those prevailing wage fringe benefits that we need to provide to those employees per that job's contract there. And also we have a separate table that can be set up for that prevailing wage fringe tied into the job record. Then with those fringes, no matter if, hey, they're just paying them to the employee, is the cash fringe given to their paycheck, or hey, we have some sort of fringe benefit group where those benefits are being broken out, tracked, sent over to that fringe benefit group that your client is working with. Either way, however those fringes are being administered for those employees, tracked, calculated, to be able to have that set up, automated inside the system as the contractors are coding in those hours for those jobs. The system's going to do the legwork, make those calculations for us. The next point here, the prevailing wage fringe reduction factors, what we call them fringe credits. For those that are working on prevailing wage jobs, well, they have that prevailing wage fringe that needs to be offered, but those contractors may already be offering their employees some benefits, PTO, health insurance, 401k, vacation, whatever benefits they're already offering in the office. And when they have this prevailing wage work, They also have to provide those prevailing wage fringe benefits where they don't have an efficient way to track this as they're already offering benefits to their employees. They don't have to go in and say, hey, this job's requiring us to offer $12 an hour in fringe benefits. We're already offering maybe $7 for those employees, $7 an hour in fringe benefits there. They don't have a way to officially track this and take that fringe credit since they are already offering those benefits to their employees. Typically when contractors are coming to us, they don't have a way to efficiently track this. So maybe they're just taking that 12 and the 7 and paying it out as $19 an hour for those benefits. They have no ways to efficiently track and take credit for the benefits that they're already offering to their employees. Inside our system, we're able to set it up on the employee record, whether it's going to be reduced by a per pay basis, a percentage, a per day basis. We're able to set up that fringe reduction factor and have the system do the legwork so those contractors aren't overpaying when it comes to that fringe benefits for their employees. Again, to have that automated, broken out, have a nice report that's generated to show where they stand with their fringes. And if we had to send that off to some sort of fringe benefit group, have that file created and send that off where it needs to go. Then the last item here, in the construction industry, workers' compensation. That workers' compensation policy is going to be a big part of the job costing for the payroll, as well as needing to track it, as that workers' comp, those rates can change based on the type of work being performed by that team member in that day. And also we're having to pay that. So that's a part of our payroll job costing. We know how big of a part it is of payroll. That's why with the contractor's workers' compensation policy, we'll go ahead and get that set up inside their database here. Inside that database then with that policy, based on what classification that worker is having that work performed under, the system automatically tracks where they stand based on that classification. And we can also set up caps to what's ultimately being exposed to that workers' compensation policy, so they're not overpaying when it comes to workers' comp. And with workers' compensation, we're not making the payments here at Payroll for Construction, but again, we're setting up that policy and I have reports that can have that amount job costed, what we're paying for workers' comp. And again, so they can see the full breakdown of where they stand with said policy, as this is an ever-changing, kind of one of the more complex parts of the construction-specific payroll for the contractors here. Moving on to the next slide here. So going hand in hand with that construction-specific payroll is going to be the construction-specific report. So with generic payroll runs, payroll in the office, we're not going to have these specific reports we need to generate here, things like certified payroll, minority compliance, job costing reports. Whereas in the construction industry, those union contractors, we're working on prevailing wage works here as well. We're going to have things like certified payroll, EEO, minority compliance reports that we're going to have to generate, track, and submit here. With our system, there is no manual entry of information onto these reports. They're going to be generated, included free of charge with the Payroll for Construction system here for those contractors. We're going to automatically track the data of those payroll runs and push them seamlessly into the construction-specific reports available inside that system. Again, also when I jump into the database for those in the audience today, I'll show you how with our reports, there's no third-party companies, third-party portals that your clients would need to jump into to access these reports. No additional bolt-ons. They're directly inside of our database here. That data is going to seamlessly flow over, available for that contractor, anyone in the office to run at any point in time inside their payroll system. And going down the line with the reports offered here, the first one, certified payroll. Whether your client is uploading those to an online electronic portal, LCP tracker, California DIR, the state of Maryland's electronic upload, EMARS, number of electronic reporting options out there. We're seeing the industry start to change, and hey, less and less people are requiring the print certified formats. Well, we're having online agencies that we're uploading these to. Once that payroll is processed by our team, that data is flowing over into those reports. We'll have a number of electronic reporting options, as well as over 40 different print payroll options, state, federal, agency-specific formats that our team here is only working in the construction industry. So we're going to stay up to date with the reporting formats, If anything changes on that report format, we're going to update it inside the system free of charge for them as a payroll for construction client. The system is going to provide these reports for them at the click of a button. No more manual entry, manual calculations of certifieds, all available inside that system. Going to be the same thing for minority compliance, EEO reports, going to have electronic and print formats available inside that system. Again, same thing, data's flowing over into those reports seamlessly. Whenever the time comes, those reports need to be ran. They are available inside their system, inside their payroll for construction database. And the third point here, job, labor, and burden cost report. So with payroll runs, hey, I can say I'm paying my employee Rick here $20 an hour, but with that job, labor, and the burden, maybe you have the calculations you're doing manually for FICA, FUTA, SUTA, trying to figure out those exact amounts in the office, what our employees are truly costing us. Inside our system, no more manual calculations of that job, labor, overall burden costs, where again, we're saying Rick's costing us $20 an hour, but once we bring in that burden, FICA, FUTA, SUTA, fringes, workers' comp, Rick's more so going to be costing us $26, $27 an hour. Job, labor, and burden cost reporting inside that system is going to take all of the regular hours earnings, but also include all of that burden fringes calculations for them and give us our true average hourly rate down to the penny for our employees, so we can truly see what our employees are costing us for those payroll runs. And the next point, I'd already briefly covered this, but that workers' compensation. So again, we're setting up that policy inside the database there, having that broken out by the types of class, the work being performed, then have a nice workers' compensation report that can be formatted however the client may need to view it. High-level overview broken out by the classes, or we need to get broken down into an employee earn code by earn code basis to see what was actually exposed to that workers' compensation policy. Reports are all automated, tracked inside that system for you. So you can see where your clients stand when it comes to workers' compensation, all that information that's going into those payroll runs there. Then also those that have 401k benefits, health insurance that they're offering to the employees there. Then I have a report where we'll set up that 401k deduction, as well as can set up if there were any employer matches for said benefits for the employees there. We have a 401k, health insurance, IRA report that's available to be run to see where they stand, as well as garnishments, court-ordered garnishments, child support, alimony, tax garnishments. We do offer an optional garnishment handling service here at Payroll for Construction. Once that garnishment amount is withheld from the employee's pay, our team can send off the garnishment amount where it needs to go. Or if those clients are currently on another payroll processing system or payroll processing party, and they're saying, hey, our garnishments take us 5 minutes to do each week here, we want to go ahead and keep the handling of those in-house, we can set up that garnishment amount to be automatically deducted, then have a nice report that can show where they stand with said garnishment, so that client or yourself, whoever's going on handling those garnishments there, can send off the information where it needs to go if they wanted to handle any court-ordered garnishments in the office there as a part of our payroll service. But again, could outsource, have us handle those garnishments as well. And the last big one here for my union contractors or anyone out there that has clients performing union work, going to have that complex union calculations and reports that need to be generated, sent off at the end of the month to those unions or the amounts to see where our employees stand. We're going to set up that union information with the pay rates, with all the union benefits that need to be tracked as we're coding that time into the system for that union jobs, and have a report that can be ran to show us the full breakout by the types of class, the trade classifications that our employees are under for that union, as well as the overall summary of deductions and fringes, then have the ultimate bottom line of what the check needs to be written, cut for, to send off to the union in PDF, pull that union report outside the system, write the check, send it off where it needs to go. Your union has been paid. All that information has been automatically tracked, broken out inside our system for you. Then the third slide here, at our core, we're still going to be that traditional payroll service provider, like your ADP, like your paychecks. We're going to pay the employees via check or direct deposit. Then we're also going to handle those tax filings and payments as your payroll service provider, the weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual tax filings and payments. And federal, state, local authorities, FUTA and SUTA, as well as those quarterly and annual returns here. Then also year-end W-2s, as well as ACAs. Those contractors that are meeting the 50 or more employee threshold have other year-end services we offer here. With the employee W-2s, if we didn't take your client or whoever live on the first of the year there, before a client goes live with Payroll for Construction, we will take all payroll history, what has been done so far this year, get it up to date inside that system. So employees would only receive one W-2 from Payroll for Construction come year end as your payroll service provider. All right. And what else makes us different here? Like I briefly mentioned earlier, we're going to have a direct integration with QuickBooks and other accounting programs. So with us, we directly integrate with that foundation accounting package there. But again, we know that not everyone's using Foundation. You're using QuickBooks, Sage, other accounting packages in the office. And the reason we say many other accounting packages, as there's a large number out there that we integrate with that client, we'll hold a conversation of, hey, how we need that data to go back. I'll cover today the direct QuickBooks integration that our system can pass that information back over. And then also those with Sage, other accounting systems out there, we're able to build that integration to match that client's specific setup inside their accounting system. As they, even though we're processing payroll inside our system, we know how crucial it is to have all of those payroll amounts, all of our amounts in one system so we can see our true bottom line. We'll be able to make sure that data integrates, can go back to whatever accounting system is being used in the office for the contractors there. And again, like we've been mentioning this entire time, our only focus here is construction. As a Payroll for Construction client, the contractors are opened up to a staff of our support team that's only trained in our system in the construction industry that are directly in the office here. Over 40 different individuals only dealing with complex construction payrolls, union, prevailing wage work. They are being available to assist. They would be able to look at anything that's going on with that system, any questions, things on setup, anything that pops up inside that system. They're only working in the construction industry. A live support rep would be available to assist with any items that come up inside that payroll system there. For the next 2 points here, so Payroll for Construction does offer a mobile application for field time card entry, whether you want the employees clocking in, clocking out, you want a foreman entering time for a group of employees under them, or hey, we just want Rick entering a time card, he worked 8 hours on this job site here today. Can also cost code those time cards, pull them into the system to give us more detailed job costing information. But with that, we don't have to use our mobile application here to use a mobile app with Payroll for Construction. If you're already using something else like WorkMax, HH2, Busy, any other mobile time card applications out there, we have a time card import feature where if that mobile app can spit out a CSV Excel file, we're able to take that file that's pulled out of that mobile application, import it into the client's payroll time card entry screen. So then we don't have to pull them off of the current mobile application that they're using in the field, have ways that we can integrate, import time from other mobile apps out there. Then at Payroll for Construction's core here, still gonna have that web-based internet access anywhere with an internet connection. Go ahead and log into the online portal. With that online portal for the payroll system, that contractor, we start with a blank database copy. We'll go ahead and have them connected with an implementation specialist. It's going to build the database from the ground up, only housing the payroll information that they need for their payroll runs during setup. Also provide them the training, run a few test payrolls before they're ever taken live. Again, have a live rep that's only working in the construction industry connected with them, setting them up inside their online web-based application. Then the last one here, online sub portal for employees to receive their pay stubs electronically. So as the years have gone by, the construction industry is starting to change, starting to catch up with that different technologies, starting to streamline things where a lot of employees back would only want a live check, and now we're seeing, hey, with those direct deposits, be able to pull that information online. We do offer an online sub portal for the employees to log in. see their current pay stub, previous pay stubs, as well as if we're tracking any accruals, PTO, vacation, sick time. They run their own reports to see their hours balances, as well as their own earnings and deductions reports, see other hours that have been entered for them on previous time cards, have an online portal to keep the employees up to date with what was going on with that pay information. Then how a payroll is processed? Simply log in online, go ahead, enter those time cards, whether you're syncing them over from our mobile app, importing them from another mobile application, or simply manually entering them into the system, pull the hours in. We'll have a number of reports, proofing, pre-check registers for those in the office to review the time card entries and calculations. Then once it looks good to go ahead and click submit right inside that database. We'll send a copy of the contractor's database to us for payroll processing. Within the hour, we'll have that payroll processed, providing a full report breakdown, total amount of checks, direct deposits, total tax liability that was handled by our team in that week. All right, so I'm going to be jumping into the database here in a moment. I wanted to take a quick break, pull up my contact information here. Feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call here at any time. We'd be happy to set up time with yourself, one of your clients, to walk you through an overview of payroll for construction, or anyone in the audience here today just wants a live one-on-one more depth overview. Be happy to talk to you at any time how our system, how our processing system, the database payroll for construction, can help streamline your client's payroll processes there. But all right, so before we jump into that database here, I'm going to go ahead and launch our first polling question of the day here. Then for those to receive those CPE credits, go ahead and answer those questions, please. But we'll launch the first question. How many states can payroll for construction process payroll in? Is it going to be 1, 10, 50, or 25? We'll give everyone some time to get this answered here. Again, all right, so how many states can payroll for construction process payroll in? 1, 10, 50, or 25? Again, looks like we still have some waiting to answer here, so we'll give them a few moments. All right, so looks like we have everyone answering the poll here. So how many states can payroll for construction process payroll in? Looks like everyone got it here. All 50 states was the correct answer. Payroll for construction can process, handle however many states your clients, those contractors, are working in there. So perfect. We'll go ahead and jump out of the slide deck here and jump into the payroll for construction system. So what everyone is now seeing here is the home dashboard for payroll for construction. Again, online, web-based internet access here, username, password, go ahead and log in. Then first things first thing you'll see foundation software in the top right corner. Again, those that are utilizing payroll for construction can integrate it with that foundation system or can stand alone, and they're still using a powerful payroll module, job costing, general ledger of that accounting system, but only using this as that third-party payroll processor here, can stand alone, directly integrate, and as well as those integration tools that I'll cover, and still pass that information back into your client's accounting system, whatever we're using for our financials there in the office. But all right, so then with that system, go ahead and move forward with Payroll for Construction. You get connected with an implementation specialist and start you with a blank database copy that they'll build from the ground up to only house the information that team needs for their payroll runs. One of the first places they'll start here is going to be inside payroll maintenance. It's going to be where we'll house the employees, as well as we'll set up that workers' compensation policy. But yeah, we know how big of a part it is of payroll there. So we'll have that tracked by the types of work being performed there, have those classes broken out, as well as set up caps to what's being ultimately exposed to workers' compensation. Once that policy is set up, go through the system as they're coding hours in, going to automatically track, break out those class breakouts for that workers' compensation policy. But the big thing inside payroll maintenance here, that what makes this different from other payroll processors out there, is that construction specific language. So we've been focusing on that union prevailing wage work here today. We'll have those separate tables for the pay rates, fringe information, union benefits that can set up and track, automate the process of that information for that union prevailing wage work. Whereas on the employee record, we're able to set it up as, hey, Rick's getting paid $15 an hour. But again, when he's working on that prevailing wage job, going to have an above scale rate of pay that we may need to pay and track for that employee. With our pay rates tables, again, union, or if they're a prevailing wage contractor, going to be able to set up per that union contract the list of trades and what those rates need to be administered at. As Payroll for Construction clients, our team can manage these tables for those that are working in the office. You get a new union contract, send it over to our team. We'll go ahead and get that set up inside the database. And a big thing with that system here is we can timestamp when that rate of pay is taking place, when its effective date is. So, hey, let's say on the first year for my local 6 year, here's those list of rates per that union contract we get, set up inside the system. Then 3 months later, we're informed on the end of July 1st, everything's going to be going up maybe $1 on that union contract for the pay rates, or some other different calculations we may need to track. Can send over that updated contract to us. We'll go ahead, timestamp that with the upcoming effective date. So no matter if that change takes place at the beginning of a payroll run, in the middle of a payroll run, the system will automatically look at that effective date, switch over to the updated rate of pay, and then also timestamp that on the employee's pay stub for them to review, on the union report for them to review, as well as on the certified payroll report. If any pay rate increases take place in that payroll run, not a problem when they take place. That system's going to automate, do the legwork for us here. Again, too, for that prevailing wage job, prevailing wage work, whether they want this set up and named on a job by job basis, or maybe we have rates that we're setting up for a specific county, specific area, any naming convention that the client may need here, go ahead, set up those trades, classifications that they're working under, as well as the corresponding rate of pay. And also, if any of the prevailing wage rates happen to be lower than the private commercial rate that the employee is already being paid, not a problem. The system can still pull over, distinguish what rate needs to be administered. That's the above scale between the two rates for that employee there. Close out here. But also, with those pay rates, that prevailing wage, that union work, we're going to have union benefits, prevailing wage fringes that we need to set up and track for these type of jobs. That's why we're going to have separate rate tables here that also will have the effective dates that we can set up and track what's going on per that union contract here. Hey, whether it's a deduction or a fringe, set up how it needs to be calculated here, as well as with those fringes, we'll include that in the job costing reports, as this is something we need to pull in for the calculations of what our employees are truly costing us. So then also what that benefit needs to be named, union dues, health and welfare, pension, whatever's going on with that union contract, get it set up. Then also with other providers out there, you start throwing out at how things need to be calculated per that union work. You start talking about, hey, it needs to be based on hours worked, where it's not being subject to if you have any overtime hours, bringing in the 0.5 calculation, or hey, we do need to bring in base this on hours paid, where it is subject to that 0.5 overtime rate for the calculations there. Their system, they're not going to be able to understand, as they're working with all types of payroll runs out there, with us only working in the construction industry here, have the ways that we can set up these deductions, fringes, have them calculated, how they need to be calculated at, the rate it's going to be calculated at, control how it's taxed, can even set up limits to what's going on with those deductions or fringes, then still also have that effective date that we can have it time stamped, have the system automatically switch over when these need to be updated based on a new contract, new year. And also too, not just with those union benefits here, prevailing wage fringe, again, whether this is going to as a cash fringe into the employee's paycheck here, or if they're working with some sort of fringe benefit group, we're passing that fringe information over to, gonna have that set up and tracked, whether all trades are being calculated the same, or we need to base this on a different rate for a trade by trade basis, have this set up and tracked. Then also too, for that prevailing wage fringe credit, fringe reduction factor that I mentioned earlier, ways that we can have that set up on the employee record, have that automatically reduced, no more manual calculation of fringe benefit information for our team members here. And close out there. The next spot I'll jump into here in payroll maintenance, our employee record. So on my employee record, once this opens up, you're going to see that there's a large number of fields for employee information that we can track here. Now, don't have to use every single field here to track employee information, but inside that system, with that implementation specialist, we'll get those employees set up to house the information that we need for those payroll runs, as well as when we make updates, changes inside the system, we're going to have the system create an audit trail of what was going on with our employees. So in the construction industry, we know it's, hey, as work slows down, we'll lay people off, they'll come and go as needed for the team there based on what type of work we have performed or what jobs are going on for our team there. If I were to come in, put in a date terminated, or hey, give this employee a raise, once I make these changes on the employee's history tab, it's going to automatically create those entries for me of what was going on with my employee. Let me know what user made what changes at what point in time, so I have full clarification of what was going on with this specific team member. And also back on the general tab, able to set up defaults with that trainer. Hey, what department are they working in? If they're a union member, what union they're a part of, as well as workers' compensation classification information here. Then on the second tab, going to house basic deduction information for employees. So what we have going on for federal, if we have any state, local withholdings that need to be set up for our employees here. Then here at the bottom, miscellaneous deductions. So things like child support, garnishment, tax garnishments, any court order garnishment, be able to set that up, have that automatically calculated, withheld from the employee's pay, as well as, again, with the 401k health insurance information. Payroll for construction, we are not making any reports or sending information over to those specific vendors for 401k and health insurance information, but we'll have those set up, tracked inside the system, and have a report that can be ran to show the team where they stand with that 401k health insurance information. They can send those amounts over to those vendors. Again, even though we're not sending it over, all available for them with those amounts at a click of a button inside their system. Now the additional tab here, additional information we can track, OSHA certificates, trade license, but the big one here going to be that prevailing wage fringe reduction factor. So no matter if it's an hourly reduction that needs to be set up, per pay, a percentage, be able to have that set up on an individual employee by employee basis here. Employer contribution, if you have any matches for health insurance, 401k, have that match set up, automatically calculated on the employee's record here as well. Direct deposit tab, any employees receiving a paycheck via direct deposit here can be broken out across as many bank accounts as that employee may desire. So whether they want a fixed amount, percentage going to the checking, the rest of the savings, vice versa, however many accounts they want that broken out across, can be handled by us, no additional charge for the breakout of that direct deposit pay information. Next tab here, accruals. PTO, vacation, sick time, whether you have one code you want to track, multiple hours codes broken out for the team members, can set up that accrual plan. No matter if, hey, we're giving them a bank number of hours that they're dipping into from the year here, or hey, every 40 hours worked, they're getting an hour paid time off, we're accruing it. No matter what the accrual tracking needs to be set up as, can have that tracked, automated inside the system, also base hours on how long that team member's been with the company. Also can set up carryover limits based on the first of the year effective date or the employee's anniversary date. Then as they dip into those PTO hours, be able to see where that employee stands, as well as timestamp the hours availability on the employee's pay stub or inside that online electronic portal for them to review there as well. Then the next tab here, the reoccurring tab. So with the payroll here, hey, we're talking about the complex calculations for our team members in the fields there, but we know with those teams, we still have those in the office that have just generic salaried employees that we're paying here that we don't need to go ahead and job cost out their pay information necessarily. Inside the employee records, we're able to set up reoccurring time cards of, hey, reoccurring salary. So we're not entering information, can just bring those in at the frequency that they need to be paid for the employees. Or also here too, any reimbursements. So if any clients, contractors have a set cell phone allowance, fuel reimbursement that, hey, maybe we're paying that $50 back to a monthly here, can set up those reoccurring time cards for reimbursements, salaried employees, have those brought into a payroll run. So we're not going through entering all this information once the time comes for it to be paid. ACA information here as well can be tracked. Then the last one on the employee record, user-defined fields. So if those contractors had information they want to track for their team members, but we didn't have a spot for it inside the system, not a problem, can set up custom user-defined fields to get their database custom tailored to track the information that they need for their team. My examples here, drug test, last time they passed that, safety course completion, things like license pictures, spousing information, anniversary date, and get those fields custom tailored, track what they may need to track for the team members, and also have them run custom lists to pull, see where their team members are at. All right, we'll go ahead and close out of the employee record, wrapped up with payroll maintenance here. So after payroll maintenance has been completed, what does it look like on a day-to-day basis for a client of Payroll for Construction? Well, it boils down to jobs, hours, reporting. So inside the system, with them using that current accounting package in the office here, and also need to generate certified payroll reports, tie in the corresponding rates of pay for those jobs. Inside Payroll for Construction, we would want those job records to be set up exactly how they appear inside their current accounting package. So that job name and number to match how it is set up. No matter if the job number is a combination of letters, numbers, dashes, all alphanumeric, that can be set up with a limited number of fields of what that job number needs to be set up as. And also with that job description, have it tied out and matched how it is appearing inside their actual database accounting system inside the office here. I'm going to cancel out and pull up a current job record, but with the job record here, again, like the employee fields, there's a large number of information fields that can be entered and tracked for these for the job records, but the main thing that it boils down to inside the system here is going to be job number, description, can track the customer information if they wanted to here, but with those working in multiple states. On the job record here, we're able to control the taxing jurisdictions and those pay rates that need to be administered per that specific job record. So where this job is taking place, if we have local taxes we need to track, or hey, we're working in multiple states, where this job's taking place, go ahead and throw in that payroll tax group. Then, hey, I need a certified payroll report generated for this job. Go ahead, turn this checkbox on. This then opens them up to any one of our formats of electronic print certified payroll reports available inside the system here. Now, also with our database, we know how many moving parts there are inside the construction payroll, how many things are going on in the office. So with our system, it's very forgiving if items are missed here. So, hey, maybe I set up job one here today. This is a certified job, but I left this checkbox blank. I ran a week's worth of payroll through the system, tried to run a certified payroll report, and it's not being pulled because, again, I missed turning this checkbox out. Not a problem. Can come back into the job record at any point in time, turn that checkbox on, System will retroactively look at the previous payroll run information, still be able to generate that certified report for those running it in the office. Very forgiving. Inside, when mistakes, you need to make corrections, going to be one spot for it to update that would update then the rest of the database there when items are missed. Then again, also the last thing on the job record here, so for those specific rates of pay. So, hey, this is a prevailing wage job. We set up that prevailing wage rate table here. You tie it into the job record, and also that prevailing wage fringe table that had been set up, tie that into the job record here as well. Then also too, for that union information, hey, this is a union job, can default that union to the specific time card, or also, hey, with this union job, maybe we have crossover. Our guys are a part of local 6 here, but for this specific job, we're under 94 and maybe we just need certain benefits that we need to track here, or we're just taking that benefit information from 94, tracking that for that specific job for that union. Not a problem, can tie those rates, those benefits, all that information to the specific job record. So then as those hours are coded in, the system's going to do the legwork for us for the calculation, pulling in the rates of pay. And I'll show you how that all happens here once we jump into a time card here in a moment. All right, so for the second polling question here, I'm going to run, again, those in the audience, please go ahead and answer these for the CPE credits. So I'm going to go ahead and launch our second poll question here now. Second question is going to be, where can you override / control rates and taxing jurisdictions in payroll for construction? Is it the job record, the cost code, or you cannot do this in payroll for construction? All right, we'll give everyone a few moments to go ahead and get this question answered here. So again, where can you override / control pay rates and taxing jurisdictions inside payroll for construction? Is that going to be again on the job record, on the cost code, or you cannot do this in payroll for construction? All right, looks like we got everyone answered here. So we'll go ahead and close this poll. So the correct answer here was the job record. So again, can tie in the corresponding taxing jurisdiction as well as those list of pay rates, what's going on for the union contract, the prevailing wage job, government contract can be tied to that job record inside the database here. All right, so next one we'll jump into payroll daily. So bringing those time cards into the system here. So again, I have a mobile application that we can sync the hours over from that mobile app into the system. Also have the ability to import time cards into that database if they're using some other mobile application for the team members. But for today's presentation, I'm going to show a basic one employee entry screen here. With our database, we can set up custom time card formats for those in the office. So if they have a specific layout that they're familiar with using or kind of want to mimic inside our system, not a problem. We can custom tailor this field or this screen of how we want it laid out. But inside the system, I'm going to go ahead and have Rick worked across 3 jobs in this week here. My first is job 97021, private commercial job. Per Rick's employee record that we were in earlier, he was getting a set $15 an hour for that private commercial work. Then I'm going to also have him work on 97021, 97051. These are 2 separate prevailing wage jobs, have their own list of rates in, tied in behind the scenes. And for the hours, go ahead, enter them broken out. Unlimited number of jobs, rates, states, all on one time card in 1 week for our employees here. So it doesn't matter if they're bouncing around. Now, with this information, enter the hours. Now, focus on the right here. Once I click OK, system then looks at the job record and pulls in the corresponding rates of pay, tells us what's going on with that specific job. Okay, first one, private commercial job, no tables tied in. Second one's going to be my prevailing wage job 1. Third's prevailing wage job 3, showing us what those rates are being pulled in. Then per that employee's trade classification, pulls in the corresponding pay rate, tax table, and also clients do have the ability to track cost codes on the time cards for employees here. if they were utilizing this. Some clients do, some clients don't. We can move this cost code field over again, custom tailor the layout. If they wanted a job cost, those hours for the employees, then hey, also if they have any trade classification switches in the same day here as well, does not matter. Hey, maybe he was an electrician, he worked as a laborer, switch that pay rate, switch the trade, click OK again, pulls in the corresponding updated rate of pay. All right. Close out of the time card here too. Then also reimbursements can also be entered directly into the time card for employees, as well as set up custom overtime calculations there. Those that do want to discuss further would be happy to hop online to discuss how we can help automate the overall process for the additional tidbits that come into payroll there. But after the hours have been entered here, you can have a number of proofing reports, pre-check registers to see where those hours and calculations stand. So the first one here, big one, time card list proofing report. All of our reports inside Payroll for Construction are met with the criteria tab that allows us to format how we want this report to be ran. If I just simply click list here, I'm now getting all my hours entered for this week, broken out by employee. Craig, Arthur, Rick, give me their subtotal of hours. Then also too, any hours highlighted in blue here allows me to click, double click, drill down into where those hours came from so I can easily update, make changes to employees' hours here. But also again, we have that criteria tab. So hey, maybe those contractors don't like formatting it broken out by employee. Not a problem. We can sort that and switch it to be a job by job basis. However they want this report, those hours to be formatted, switch my criteria, now have it broken out on a job by job basis, giving me my job hours subtotals here at the bottom. And with those criteria too, also have the ability to set up and save custom defaults on a user by user basis. So, hey, maybe Susan in the office wants to see it broken out one way, Rick wants to see it broken out another. Can have that report set up already custom formatted based on what that user's specific defaults, specific viewing format preferences are. All right, then also along with that proofing report, another pre-check registers, workers' compensation. If their employee isn't going to see a pay stub, isn't going to receive a pay stub in this week, general ledger, but big one here, pre-check register, run this report. Show us all of our employees with all their hours, earnings, deductions, fringe calculations, giving us the true net pay down to the penny of what our employees are costing us here, or going to be paid if we were to submit payroll at this point in time. Jump out there. So, all right, payroll looks good to go. We're ready to go ahead and click submit. Client clicks submit inside that database, sends a copy over to us for payroll processing. After that payroll's processed, data seamlessly flows over into the reports inside Payroll for Construction here. So with that reporting section here, first one I'll jump into, workers' compensation report here. Reports can be ran on a number of different formats breakout. So the first one I pull up here, just a high level class overview breakout, all my operators, electricians, laborers, give me the hours worked, gross earnings, what was ultimately exposed to that policy based on the caps that were set up. But hey, maybe we need a little bit more detail, or we're going through an audit here as well. Break it down on trade by trade basis, employee by earn code basis, switch my report format. Now jump in here. I now see my operators with all my employees, those classes with the employees under them. Arthur here, 2 hours of overtime, $63 was the gross earnings, but only $42 was exposed based on that cap that was set up. And as you scroll through, gives us the full breakout with nice subtotals here at the bottom of where we stand against that policy. Close out here. And also too, like I mentioned earlier, EEO, minority compliance reporting, then I have electronic and print formats available inside the system. We're staying up to date with those report formats. Just a big example I'll show here, US Department of Labor one, select the report format, put in the date range needed for that report, you run it, system pulls that information for them with the click of a button, PDF it, pull it outside the system, send it off where it needs to go. No external portals, external companies that we're working with for generating these reports, all available at any point in time, included as a Payroll for Construction client. And another big one here, certified payroll reports. So we also have earnings and deductions, employee earnings types available inside the system, 401k reports, but the big ones that we've been discussing today, those certified payroll electronic and print formats. For the electronic, go ahead and select the agency specific format that you need to use. The example I'll use today, LCP tracker. With the system, we're creating the XLS file upload for that LCP tracker, the agency specific format. So client goes ahead, puts in the date range needed, run the report. Information looks like a jumbled mess for that certified payroll report, but that's because, again, we're creating that file upload that's going to be sent over to the LCP tracker. Click close, file's not been created, create file now. You click yes, file saved to the desktop. Client logs in online to the LCP tracker, whatever agency upload they're using. They upload that file format. Go ahead and click submit. That certified report has been created by our system for them. No manual entry of that information. Again, too, we know not everyone in the industry is using those electronic uploads at this point in time. It is starting to change. We're starting to see them used more and more around the country here, but still also have those print formats available here. Again, no additional portals we're jumping into. State, federal, agency-specific formats inside the system. If the report format changes, our team's going to stay up to date with the regulations, make sure that's still formatted correctly inside that system. And the big one I'll jump into here today, that generic WH-347 US Department of Labor format. Go ahead, run that report. Then also we'll pull in the signature pages for them to then PDF it, pull it outside the system, sign it, send it off where it needs to go. Then also too, can be ran for one job at a time or can have this ran for multiple jobs. We'll also even generate no work performed certifieds for those in the office there. Close out the certified reports. So also have accrued time off reports available. Another big one here for my union contractors, talking about how we can set up, track all this information. But the big thing here is we need to go ahead and run that union report to then be able to send that off to the union. So have that tied out to how it needs to be formatted for said client. Run that report, have it broken out based on the classifications, trades inside that union, with summaries on the class basis. Then also would then give us our ultimate subtotal of where they stand with that union. The bottom line here, write the check for this amount, PDF it, pull it outside the system, send it off. Your union's been paid, all the information tracked, automated by our system. Again, too, if we're working with multiple unions, have that broken out for them here as well inside that database. Then the last big one I'll show here today, our burden employee summary report, job cost reports here. So all these reports, certified payroll, union, job cost reports, all available inside Payroll for Construction. Like I mentioned earlier, hey, I'm paying Rick $15 an hour, but once we bring in FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, fringe information, we're so going to be costing us $18.50, $25 an hour. The burden report, no more manually calculating this information. Run the report, pulls in all those amounts to give us our true job costs, what our employees are hitting us for, down to the penny of those payroll runs. And also too, PDF, Word, Excel, CSV, very easy to pull these reports outside the system here. We need to send it off to a user that doesn't have access. All right, I'll go ahead and close out here. Then I'm going to run our last and final polling question here today. So we'll go ahead and launch that here now. Payroll for Construction can provide your client with which of the following reports? It's going to be certified payroll, union reports, job cost reports, none of these reports, or the last, all of these reports, all of the above. So those in the audience, please go ahead and throw your answer on the polling question here now. Right, wonderful. Looks like we had everyone answer here, and looks like everyone got it right here. The answer was D, all of the above, Payroll for Construction can provide all of those reports for your clients. So I'll go ahead, open it up to questions here for those in the audience. But while we're having questions be thrown in here, I'll pull up my information here again. Anyone interested in setting up time for just us to discuss, or if you want to hold a one-on-one demonstration with you and your client, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to hop on a call here, walk them through a live one-on-one overview, and discuss how our payroll service here can help streamline that payroll for the contractors you're working with there. All right, looks like we do have one question here from the audience. So for unions, sometimes in the middle of a payroll period, we do have to cut a check, get that employee paid in the middle of a payroll run. Can Payroll for Construction handle this? Yes, Payroll for Construction can handle this. You have an off-cycle pay period known as the L cycle. If an employee needs to get paid at that point in time, we're in the middle of a payroll run, you can enter that one-time check information, cut a live check outside the database, hand it to that employee, get them paid at that point in time. Then the next time we process that full payroll run, we'll be able to see the one-time check information, get things up to date on our end as the payroll processor. So not a problem if we do have one-time layoff check informations that need to be handled there. But all right, looks like we don't have any other questions. So thanks again for taking the time to meet with me for the overview of Payroll for Construction here. Please don't hesitate to reach out if there's any questions, or if you're interested in setting up a live one-on-one demonstration. But thanks again, everyone here, and hope everyone in the audience has a great rest of your day.